Forum for Autism. This is going to be our first Autism Katta in the month of April, as we are celebrating our Awareness Month, Acceptance Month. We are celebrating autism throughout the month of April. Basically, we talk about autism throughout the year, throughout our life, but April has a special uh, month, being a special month. So this is our first Autism Katta for the month of April. A warm welcome to one and all of you.
Forum for Autism is a parent support group to support families of children with autism. It was set up in the year 2002 under the Indian Trust Act 1950. Forum for Autism mainly aims at creating awareness about autism, empowering parents to advocate for rights of persons with autism. Forum for Autism is a parent body which runs two libraries in Kolaba and in Vashi with around 500 books. It also conducts parent training workshops, seminars, and talks. It has a database of parents and professionals and provides sponsorship to unaffording families. Forum for Autism participates in various activities. To name a few are Mumbai Marathon, conducted workshops for parents with young adults, celebration of World Disability Day at Malad Basti, and self-help skill workshop. Since the lockdown, Forum for Autism is continuing its work online. It has been conducting webinars on various topics like preparing to choose the boards, homeschooling, storytelling sessions, setting up presidential setup, to name a few. All the parents who are interested can check those webinars on YouTube. Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and commentator Harsha Bhogle are the cause ambassadors for Forum for Autism. Throughout the lockdown, FFA, that is Forum for Autism, along with ASK, that is Adult Support Kendra, is offering online individual counseling, family counseling, parent support, apart from various other services. To know more about these services, please contact Nicole Kapadia and Suhasini Sundaresan on the numbers mentioned. Join our journey. Be an active part of Forum for Autism. To know more, please call on the phone numbers on your screens. Thank you for your overwhelming response to our webinars. Forum for Autism requests you to donate generously so it helps in our future endeavors. All the donations are eligible for the tax exemption. Please follow us on social media for updates on workshops organized by Forum for Autism. Please follow our Facebook page, Forum for Autism. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our website www.forumforautism.org.
Hello everyone. For today's Autism Katta, where we will be talking to our parents, to begin with, I would like to call our moderators Nirupa and Vijay Bhangar on screen, please. Nirupa is an educationist and a social change maker, and Vijay Bhangar is a successful businessman and a lifelong learner. They have known today's speakers, the parents who are going to talk to us, that is Parul and Anand Kumtha. They have known Parul and Anand Kumtha because they are colleagues and friends with ASK. Parul and Anand, could I have you on screen, please? Parul, an architect by profession, and Anand, a lecturer of mathematics. But more than that, people or parents at Forum for Autism know them because they are the ones who have brought in the right based approach in the Forum for Autism and also in the autism movement. But more than that, I would like to say that they are more proud parents of Kabir Kumtha, whom you can see right there sitting behind them. Yes. So it's a pleasure to have you both on screen, and uh, like Nirupa and Vijay have this chit chat, which they have their initiative, and they're doing it for Autism Katta today. There's a lot of learning as parents we are going to have from this chit chat today that's going to happen on Autism Katta. Thank you. Over to you, Nirupa and Vijay.
Thank you, Darshana. And what a pleasure to be together talking to friends and colleagues, Parul and Anand. And Darshana, as you aptly described, they taken the rights approach, and I've known them even to be social activists, trekkers, poets. They bring in to life, and therefore to the benefit of others, their passion, their courage, their convictions, their ability to walk the path. All that is true, but what is also true is how chill they are. And that is where our curiosity comes, and our first question. What is it? What is your worldview that makes you what you are? And the way that you are with Kabir, the easy relationship that we see. So over to you, Parul, Anand, whoever wants to start first.
Yeah. The chilled out couple is all nervous and telling oneself, all is well, all is well. Okay. Actually, Parul and I often used to say that we should uh, ask Vijay and Nirupa to have a chai and chat session with us, and we never thought it'll come online like this in front of uh, so many others. So it's a dream come true with a little bit of, oh God. So to answer that question, I would like to put in context the worldview that came into existence and is obviously always ever evolving. Uh, my mother and my mamas stayed in the building just next to Gandhiji's house uh, down the road. Now we stay, say, 4 buildings away. And my eldest mama and mommy in particular have taken part in the freedom movement very extensively, and at the end of their lives, they gave their bodies to JJ Hospital for science experiment. My second mama, also a staunch Gandhian, and my mommy, his wife, they were very active in the whole underground group working against the emergency in the 1970s. That was such a dark period in India's history. So, all these influences have been there that one has to stand up for the truth, what is right in the family. And, some of our cousins, it was just natural for us to want to become social activists. And so we became, and we thought our hopes were to understand society, kind of learn from it, and maybe be able to give back something. And everything you learn on the job. So once you start, you immediately know that this whole giving back is a misnomer, and you think you're given back something and you get back so much of wealth of understanding and love, and so much more than, I mean, it's a new world opens to you. And whether you change people or not, God alone knows, but we were changed totally from, I mean, over the years, that really kind of made us change. And it was Parul had her own history to come to this, and we in the social activism we met and were married. And you're talking about you talked about easiness, and Parul is so much more courageous and easy than me. And I just asked her hand and she gave it like this. And uh, it's so we gave up our flourishing careers like this. And I was with the Tatas, I remember, and they said that in the computer section, and they said software, and they were sending me abroad and said that this is where you have to go, and that will be a, and they thought I'll be happy, and I panicked here that, oh, I want to do something for my country. I'd already started working after this thing, and there I resigned easy kind of thing. And then let's put it this way, we there have been times where like when we decided and we like to have a child, uh, we had moved out of my parents' place, and we were in a small little house in the suburbs, and it was like zero furniture. एक गद्दा था, एक सतरंजी थी, and that stove, kerosene stove, we used to cook our meals. And uh, our house, whether this or that or any house, is always like full of people, and there it was full of activists and other people coming in. And it was with very little money, so we've taken hard decisions easily. So in that we decided to have a child. So we uh, I mean, it's the context that you, when you take hard decisions, uh, the day-to-day things may be coming easy. But maybe I should ask
Yeah.
Parul to continue.
Yes. So a lot of things.
I was also curious to know, Anand, that from Parul, that I heard Anand say that he gave up that very lucrative job to go abroad, and which are kind of our dreams when we are younger. So kind of very likely it came. So Parul, what did you give up for Anand, and then later on, of course, for Kabir, and so we are looking.
Yeah. So
We go from that.
in a way, fortunately for us, I had also kind of been very clear about the fact that I don't want to go abroad for my further studies. And that was a decision I had taken even before Anand and I met and decided to be married and all of that. So, that was a no-brainer for us, in the sense that to be in India and to do whatever we can in India, before we even became parents and before it was realized that our child is neurodiverse. So that was, I mean, that was just a part of it. But just like Anand's childhood, just very briefly, and I'm saying this in context, because my father changed a lot of jobs, and we traveled in various and lived in various cities and small towns in India, right from Rishikesh to Secunderabad, Hyderabad, Ahmednagar. I was in school in Pune for some time, and of course Mumbai. And I kept changing schools. I have been in co-ed schools sometimes. I changed 9 schools. Coincidentally, Kabir also changed 9 schools. And I can talk about that later. So some of the schools were ICSE, some of them were state board, some of them were co-ed, and all of this. And as a result, I met so many people. My friends were from such different, diverse cultural backgrounds. And then later on, after I chose to do architecture again, because didn't want to choose between science and arts, and I thought architecture is a great medium which uses science, arts, humanities, and also commerce to some extent. So it was a wonderful combination where I didn't have to choose. I could do everything. And I don't regret that. So it's really a fascinating profession. So I, chose that. And then through architecture, I realized that I wanted to do something that will make a difference in society, and became a social activist, where I met Anand, as he said, and, became a part of the women's movement.
And again, through that, so many doors opened up to so many different experiences and insights. And so, in the process, before we got married, before we decided to be parents, we could not only did we have amongst our friend circle persons like us, middle class persons who are professionals and double graduates and whatever else, but we could call and to date call amongst our closest friends, persons who drive auto rickshaws, who are cobblers, who run a pan bidi shop, women who are domestic help, and women who work in galas in various electronic zones, and all sorts of people who are construction workers, and all of these have been a part of our lives. Their homes have been open to us, our home has been open to them, and all of these cultures kind of made us aware of another world. And kind of, if I may say so, Anand, a lot of unlearning happened. Unlearning happened and a lot of new learning happened because of these experiences. And why I say this is because when Kabir was determined to be neurodiverse and I was told it could be autism, if I look back, because you'll ask this question, I didn't feel a sense of fear. There was no fear attached to the diagnosis. It was more a sense of curiosity and, like, oh, this is another diverse area. This is another section of people. This is another way of life. This is something new. And actually being a parent to Kabir became like a adventure, like a new journey for me. So, that is kind of, if that has to explain in brief what kind of shaped our worldview. It was all about autism being one more diversity among so many diversities that we knew through our friend circles: religion, caste, economic background, gender, and now disability and autism. It was just a part and parcel of that.
That's so beautiful to hear. And what a gift to autism that, you're part of this journey. And I was thinking, all parents, when we have children, we have hopes and dreams. Now, since we've come to the point when Kabir was born, what were your hopes for Kabir? What are your hopes for Kabir? What have come true? What have not come true? Can you hear?
Yeah, that's so true. We also had, like any parent, we would have hopes and dreams for the unborn child. And maybe perhaps because of the journeys we had before, what we really hoped for any child of ours was that he had the same courage and the same curiosity and the same, beautiful uh, embodiment of kindness that we had seen in all these many people that have been a part of our lives.
Correct.
And we really, that was the main thing that we hoped of, not just Kabir, but of any child of ours. And, because there are so many persons we know, totally ordinary persons, leading extremely extraordinary lives, just through their circumstances, living up to their circumstances. And that's how we saw our child. That's how we saw ourselves. We had changed into being those people. That's how we saw our child. Autism was just one part of it. And over the years, I think Kabir did not disappoint us. And something stood out, in the way he maneuvered his path through autism, through his 9 schools. Incidentally, he changed 9 schools because we were very clear that he will not be in a school where the school has nothing to offer to him. So it has always been we who have moved him out of a school. So, for example, there was this one school where, where I think it was one of the best schools he went to, where his classroom was just a 10 by 10 little room. And they sat on the floor and they worked, and he really thrived there. And I would have wanted him to continue to be in that school. He got promoted to a class which had 30 children and 2 teachers. And the sense we got was, for a child like him, it is possible that he will languish. And so we thought we have to move away from there. And I remember sobbing on the last day, because I was parting from that school, you know. So, but we've always been very clear. If there is nothing that a situation offers to our child, we will move the child away if we can. Of course, with his consent and permission, explaining it to him and him understanding it as best as he can. Some incidents that I would like to relate about this is, I remember that in one of the schools, for some Independence Day or Republic Day, assembly, yeah, he was given the role of Bhagat Singh. Yeah, and his job was to I had to practice with him, where he had to hold a ball up, which was dressed up like a bomb, and he had to hold it up and say "Inqilab Zindabad" and then throw the ball into the audience. And we practiced every day. Remember, Kabir? We practiced every day at home, and he practiced. He had multiple practices in the school hall, and all of it went very well. And then on the final day, and there was some big shot chief guest who had come, he said "Inqilabs." He was standing with a row of kids dressed up as various freedom fighters. He said "Inqilab Zindabad," held the ball bomb up, but refused to chuck it into the audience. And everybody was prompting him from the wings and saying, "Kabir, you have to throw it." The teacher came onto the stage and tried to lop it out of his hand, but he's very tall, as you know, so it was not possible to reach it. And then she said, "Kabir, you have to," we could see her, prodding him and saying, "You have to, the bomb has to go there." So Kabir smiled and he walked off the stage and gently went and put the bomb in the hands of the chief guest. Because his whole thing, and if I thought back, it was when he practiced, there was no audience. So for him to throw something into the audience where it could possibly hurt someone was something he would not be able to do. And that kind of, that is one memory that I hold very dear, because I remember the whole school laughing about it, and his teacher saying we should have given him the role of Mahatma Gandhi instead of Bhagat Singh, he's better suited to that. Similarly, I remember this other feedback I had got when the school had gone on an overnight trip of some 3-4 days. And then they came back, there's always this thing when the teachers tell the parents how the child was, and, in that, and parents always go there with a little dread in their hearts, what is going to be discussed. And I remember his teacher saying that Kabir was always ready to help. He was always ready to pick up all the heavy loads. He was always checking on his classmates to see that everybody was with the group, to the extent, she said, that if you were getting into a bus, and if Kabir got into the bus, we didn't have to do a head count. We knew everybody was in, because he would make sure he's the last one to enter. And somehow, I don't know why, but when I heard that, I thought, yes, this is it. This is what I want my child to be. A helpful, a considerate, kind person who will always be there to give a helping hand. And that is really something, again, that I cherish, and I see that in him. I also remember him as a little baby when we used to come home late from our, social activist meetings, and you'll be walking home from the station, and the area we stay in, a lot of people sleep on the pavements. And he would stand next to a person who's tired and who's just gone off to sleep, is unaware of us being on the road, and just keep looking at that person. And I didn't know what would be going on in his head. He was just a little kid, 3 years old or 4 years old. But I used to try and answer that for him, and kind of said to him that, see, the person's so tired, he's so tired. He doesn't even know we are standing here. And, I wonder why he's sleeping here on the shop step. Maybe he doesn't have a bed like yours, and maybe he doesn't have a cot and a room. Not everybody has a space like that. And I remember one summer, every afternoon, when the rest of the house took a nap, Kabir used to step out of our house, and we stay in one of these heritage homes. And there's a stone step outside our house. And he would stretch himself out on that stone step and lie down there for the afternoon, kind of wanting to know what it was, that's the sense I got. And I never felt the need to discourage that. I was, in fact, I felt kind of moved in a way I can't describe, that my son wants to try and see what that situation would be like. And there's so many such small instances that come to mind, but these things really stand out. And yes, of course, a lot of other things happened in his life, but these were my hopes and dreams, and continue to be the hopes and dreams, you know, for him, that I hold very dear and see happening.
Anand, would you like to add something, or do you remember, recollect, or what were your hopes and how much they matched, etc.?
Uh,
What to hear from you.
the incidents that she just related about him looking at the people on the footpath, and when I was a child, I mean, these people have been sleeping since then, and I was also always intrigued as a child, and wanted to do it, you know, to see what it is, how are people living, and if my son could actually do it, what I didn't do finally, what is in my mind, it is so fulfilling. I mean, it makes me feel, can't tell you. And since I mean, both of us are poets, and sometimes poetry says things that a thousand words can't. There is a song from this Marathi movie Davi For, which was a award-winning film, which is a favorite of all three of us. And there is this uh, woman, a mother of a child who's in Davi For is 10th standard F division, meaning A has all the super intelligent guys, and A, B, C, D, E, F are the riffraffs of the society, rejects of the society. They are there. And one such boy who puts newspapers in the houses before he goes to school. His mother is singing this with pride, and some lines of that are, I'll translate it into English later, but they are नात्याला जागील जीव दुसऱ्याचा जाणील न्यायाचं खाईल दुसऱ्याला देईल सुख अपसुख त्याच्या दारी येणार खुशी चेहऱ्यावर माझ्या का नाही येणार डोले माझे वले का नाही बना. He will sense what is needed and be there for others, will live fairly and be ever willing to share with others. How then can happiness not come to him? Wouldn't my eyes not be filled with tears? How then could I not be happy? And Kabir and I have seen this film and its songs umpteen number of times on our screen, and every time we see, I cry, and then Kabir comes and wipes my tears, and so I mean, my hopes are more than fulfilled. Just take this Corona time, which has been so hard for all of us, and he has been the most mature person in our house and taken it all out, when actually he's been like the person who's least gone out. Even now he was just saying to us, expressing his wish, let's go out, because he realized we are like घर में भी थोड़ा सा तो जरा smartly dressed है, तो just looking out of the window is the hope for his hope. That and in the mornings, like he's a gymmer, he used to get up at 6 o'clock and go to the gym with Parul, because at the time I used to get ready to go for work in my college. And so he gets up in the morning, and now since there is no one, no help at home, he sees both of us are doing work, we're getting tired, and we sleep pretty late after everything is done. Of course, he helps us also in the work, but he sees we are tired at our age, and he doesn't want to wake us up in the morning, although he's up and about. And he'll put on the light in his room, he'll put on in the drawing room, but will not put on the light in our room. And sometimes, if we really oversleep, he'll come very uh, light footed and sit near the bed and just give a kiss on the forehead and say, we'll ask for tea very softly. So, so what I mean, what more, like that woman says, what more can I hope for? I mean, and in the broader context of even the earlier question, I would say if I could live my life with my values all my life, if my life has given me a life partner which who has we share the same worldview, and I mean I am so happy and grateful, and we have a son who's a buddy in our journey. What more can one hope for? But I would still say as a balancing thing. See, when we become a little older, how we grow up is when we little bit outgrow our parents, and to outgrow our parents, there is a thing that the parents have an experience, and then we go out as youth to have our own experiences
Beyond our parents.
beyond our parents,
Yeah.
and learn from that, because uh, experience is the biggest learning factor in life, and that is something, however hard we try, there is a lacking in that, because uh, he is not able to travel independently, and although we try to listen to his wishes and dreams and try to support it as much as possible, but whatever he would like to have some other experiences, we wish he would have had the opportunity to have them. But that's life. He's accepted it. He's got a big heart.
Yeah, thank you. This is such a rich and poignant response. It brings Kabir alive to us in so many ways, and your journeys together. And it also leads to the next question. Apart from you, what kind of therapies, influences, supports contribute to what Kabir is today? What has been really supportive, and what was in fact even counterproductive? Yeah, I'd love to hear that from you.
Yeah, so of course, after we got an informal diagnosis really, because the other thing was that when Kabir was 3.5 years old, he fell 40 feet and had really touched death's door and came back. A lot of fractures and a lot of things. So of course we did the rounds of the therapy spaces and all of that, and a lot of therapies. There were days, and some of my parent friends will remember, Kabir used to go to 2 schools and 2 therapies in any given day. And I think all of us have been through that, and our journey was no different. And of course, doing all the housework and all that before that. Uh, but the thing is that he got, because as Anand was saying, we tried to expose himself to all the experiences that were available to us. He has got, in addition to all the therapies that he got within therapy rooms, he met all these other wonderful people that are a part of our lives. And in particular, I remember we used to take those camps, we used to take summer camps for underprivileged children, from the age of, I think, 7 to up to pre-teens. And Kabir would be a part of those camps, and we would be taking our classes, and Kabir would be just mingling with them and doing whatever they were doing. We didn't know where he was, and he would sleep with them, he would eat with them, and of course, the accommodations were made for his autism. It's not like because we all know that autism is a very difficult. Puts one in a very difficult situation. But simple accommodations, like I remember all of them used to eat, the menu was very simple, dal chawal, okay, and some pickle and some papad. And everybody would eat with their hands, but the children knew that Kabir could not eat with his hand, and they'd make sure there was a katori and a chamach for him to eat with. And the welcome he got, people used to just look forward to having him there, and he used to look forward to going there and being with them. And we were just talking about it last night, and that we used to bathe. This one camp I remember, we had to bathe in the river, and so he also bathed with everybody. And you had to use the wilderness for your toileting needs. But this little kid, he was younger than all of them. He must have been maybe 5 or 6 years old. And when he peed, the mud used to splatter. So as he peed, he would move backward, to avoid the mud splatter. And the kids used to have a good laugh over it. We used to have a good laugh, but he just accommodated. And when he sat down, to answer nature's call, the grass used to poke in his little bottom. And he had to learn to tolerate that too. It was not easy. It was not easy.
Sensory integration therapy.
Yes, sensory integration therapy in the natural environment. And he got a lot of this kind of thing, and also saw their lives, saw them closely, saw all these children. Today, when he meets them, many of them are married. Some of them married to each other across castes, across religions. Many of them are now working with other NGOs. Some of them are business owners. Some of them are even engineers, and all. Some of them are sanitation workers. So they have gone into various, and we still meet. And now their children look up to Kabir, with awe and wonderment. And who is this person who's our parents' age and who's so much like us, And Kabir also has this he's intrigued by this whole transformation of seeing his mates as parents now, and and all of that. And I think all of this kind of has created a much stronger, what would I say, like a learning for him, a learning more than what he got in therapies. Yet we were really fortunate to have some of the best therapists in India and learn from some of the best in the field of autism. I mean, persons like Mary, everybody, Mary's first workshop, I remember, where I finally understood what autism was. What does it mean? Right? And so many others, Anjali Joshi, there's Vibha, there is Vibha Krishnamurti, all of these people who have been such a big contributing part of Kabir's and our learning about autism and our lives. But my first two therapists, and I have to mention them, Pushpa Kamath, who was doing play therapy with him. And I remember at one point her telling me that, Parul, you have to remember that Kabir is a child first, and then he has autism. And that has really stayed with me, that he's a person first. Autism is something that is a challenge that he faces. And now it's not even so much a challenge, it's a personality trait in a way. It's a difference, right? But he's a person first. And that really, really stayed with me. And then, of course, my other therapist, Meenal Surkun, who used to take speech for Kabir. And at one point she said to me, Parul, there are going to be 100 therapists in his life and 100 teachers, but there's going to be just one mother. And you have to decide what role you're going to play as a mom. You're not going to be, if you're going to just be another teacher, then how does he know what a mother is? And this really stayed very deeply with me. And I've just kind of followed these beacons through life. I mean, both of us have tried to do that, with him. And you can, I mean, Anand will be better able to tell about all the places he's come to us with, wherever we've gone. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Did
You
you?
wanted to say something?
Carry on. I was curious also about when she mentioned about therapy, and she mentioned that, there's only one mother, and I know obviously there's only one father. And also I heard that you had done narrative therapy yourself, you learned narrative practices. So just that curiosity came up as to how did all that match as a father, and you're wanting to learn narrative therapy at such a later stage. So it's okay if you answer or don't answer that.
Yeah. Firstly, from his childhood, I'll start. There's so many things that there's no choice only for us. I'll give you an example. Now, this house where we are staying currently, as I said, next, very near Gandhiji's house in Bombay. Uh, from my childhood, our door was never used to be closed. And my father had lots of friends coming over all the time. Anytime we have this thing that anybody is welcome to come unannounced kind of thing. I mean, you don't have to tell it. My mother had huge number of friends and fans who used to come over. My sisters, me, my friends. Then after we got married, Parul's friends, and like our activist friends and other. So when uh, like there's chaos, and here we are talking about, we have to structure, and we tried our best. We tried our best to give him that structure, to give him time structure, space structure.
And continue to do it.
Yeah, and continue to do it. But imagine a time where a boy at one particular age just wanted to run out of the house and explore the house outside, places outside, and our door is open, and he is so small that he cannot save himself from the traffic. And like, so we had to have that extra one eye. All of us parents have that, but it was like there's we just lived, and like our life was being jostled with people, and he also got jostled along, and that's what kind of that gave him that whole acceptance of the whole neurotypical world and its ways, and people come and just force their love and so many other things on a person, and he has to take it. And if one talks of therapy, I'm just saying, I'll just relate an incident. This is with our, very close friends, and they are so close that uh, I don't think they'll mind me sharing this. Of course, I'm not revealing the identity. But there's this family where we are fans of. Like I'm a fan of the father, and Kabir is a fan of their son, who is his a friend from childhood, and they're like dashing family, and we are very close. And they used to one time we used to meet much more often, and they had called us over once, and we didn't know at that time they had moved into a new place. And Kabir went and sat on what was the most comfortable looking place on the sofa, which we didn't know happened to be the his young friend's favorite place. And the young friend must have got confused. How do I tell my friend? Like, how do I tell him that this is my place, boss? Like, you're just you have to vacate this. So he came, and he gave thoda prasad to, matlab it's a metaphorical thing. He gave a
typed one.
Yeah, typed one. Kabir Kabir's a gentle type, so he got like this thing and went away and sat right in the opposite corner. And with our training, we were in the middle of discussion, the parents, them, and we just ignored that whole thing, and we just continued talking. And then Kabir looking, and like then he gathers his guts, and we are talking, we are aware, we always have like God knows how many eyes and ears. So then he feebly smiling at his friend. Then he is mm, uh, looking here and there, and then he sees his ball, the friend's ball, and then he picks up, and then he picked up the ball and, like, bounced it to his friend. And the friend, like, threw it back to him. Again, Kabir is gently bouncing, and then we are talking, and slowly that whole thing developed into a ball play with them. So, like,
And giggles and
yeah,
then,
yeah, all that.
Yeah.
And they are friends, and they'll always be friends. And I'm thinking, who's doing therapy? And like, we believe we give therapy. The and it's, in fact, I'll put it the other way around. If at all, uh, one can look at it in another way also. It was an indication of what the respective therapists of the two young men were doing in the therapy room. And we believe that they don't learn from the way the therapy is done. Okay, and that's our bharam, like. But that's the reality is something totally different. That therapy is not about the results. Therapy is about what we do, and
the
it's,
attitude.
yeah. And most learning takes place when no teaching is happening, and that's the whole influences. And as I said that, see, we believe in being witness to, we are in Bombay, I mean, we could have been anywhere. We believe in being witness to any historical event happening in that place. So Kabir and I, and even my father, we would, because my father is from big book business, we would go every year to Chaitya Bhumi at on the birth and death anniversary of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, where possibly the largest book sale of serious books happens when villagers come and buy books in crores of rupees. The books have to go, and it's something to see. And or any mocha that would come to Bombay from the village,
Farmers rally.
yeah, farmers rallies, or it could be scientists march against superstition. It could be a gay Aquia flash mob. I mean, we are there. We it any and if there is a Republic parade, or those naval ships perform, or the
Flypast.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anywhere, everywhere, and of course, art and visual art and museums and performing art, and from classical to jazz to Indian to whatever we have given that. But that's not so. I mean, that is just to give him what we have experienced. But as I said, there is something that yeah, we are still. This is what we have liked, and most of it he has liked. But we have not been able to give him what possibly what he would like to explore. Uh, One doesn't know that whether he can this thing. But basically, the whole, if one, if I have to answer myself, what therapy teaches kindness, resilience, persistence, what is that therapy? And what we got in life, we ourselves, not just him, all three of us bundled. I would say it was, as I said, we were just jostled by events, by human beings, and we loved that. It's not that we are like feeling like, trapped inside a railway compartment or something. We love that, and we'll always love it. And maybe I'll call it churning therapy. The whole society is churning, and we are churning, and he's in that whole churning, and it's a society will always change. And this is what should I say, Amrit Manthan, as a mythology says, where Amrit and Vish both come out. And so as a narrative person, I would first try to double listen to what he's trying to say, try to support that, and be able to fulfill or if we are not able to fulfill, I mean, there's so many things we can't do. And day-to-day life is very mundane. I mean, I don't want to romanticize it at all. It's very mundane. And he wants to go out, and for 1 year, he's hardly like here and there, but generally not gone out. And but we can engage in a conversation about why we can't go out, and he can express and uh, the wish. Like today, he saw y'all, Nirupa and Vijay, and then obviously he wants to go out to your house. And I'm telling him, look, we have to meet like this now today. We can't go. So
Yeah, we wait for your next visit to our house. But this whole definition of therapy, when you say, is always a churning. And I think your stories, your listening, your observation brings this so alive that therapy is happening way beyond the therapy room. Some of the therapies in the therapy room is also important, but that's not it. It's way beyond. And I like the definition. It's the attitude. And just that who gives therapy to whom. It's a constant observation question. And that takes us to the next question, that through Kabir, as parents, what has been your learning? You've already shared some of that, but take us further.
one thing is, obviously it's related to his accident, where he fell down 40 feet when he was 3.5 years old, in coma for 10 days, where he had convulsions, brain injury, all the major bones broken. When he opened his eyes after 10 days, there was no recognition. 2 more months in hospital, then he comes home with a Rile's tube. We had to give khichdi through that tube to him, and very fragile health. And our hopes, if somebody asks that time, our hope was that he be alive. And a diversion, but which I would like to share here, is that when we say that one gives, one believes or thinks one is giving to society this much and we get this much. So many people, when he was in the hospital, have prayed for him of all religion, and somebody came and gave angara, somebody came and gave taweez, somebody actually one of our friends nurse brought
Holy water.
holy water of Nazareth, which he had saved for her grandson. And it was so overwhelming. A person with a fluid gender and orientation brought gifts. So they, of all social caste, class, all kind of diversity, people came. They were not people; they are friends. Friends came and supported us through that whole difficult times where he was in the hospital, and we had no doctors had told us कि नहीं कुछ hope नहीं है. But he's a fighter. He's a fighter, and I learned from that. He came home and he had full plasters and everything, and he would just we removed our bed, and that time we put a gadda down so that he shouldn't fall. He would go around the house. He just wanted to come back to life. So
He used to
when
drag himself on the bottle, he would drag himself
with that heavy plaster.
plaster.
And then from there, 4 years, of course, Parul left her job, and his existence was at stake. But he knows he wants to fight. He wants to come back. So when last year October I got corona, and I was isolated in the next door Kabir's office. In fact, Parul and Kabir share office, so there I was staying, and I was telling myself, if your son has touched the that door and come back, and at 3.5, that too, such a young age, that's where I'm not exaggerating. I told myself, you have to come back. But to fight this, being alone for 17 days is not so easy. Although I talked on video calls with Kabir every day, at least once without fail, all that and others. But talking was difficult because stress was heavy, and but it was I do take inspiration from it, and it's not an exaggeration. As I said, I don't want to romanticize. It's a very mundane life we live, but it's this maybe realization more after narrative also, as I say, but even otherwise, that through these small little mundane things we take inspiration and patience. Like, I'm a lecturer, and in my class, of course right now it's online, so anyway they can do what the hell they want, but even in the physical class my students can do whatever they want. There is no rule. I never discipline, and there's no need to discipline. So, but essentially, it's a chilled out class, and the students and even some of my colleagues say, "Sir, you have patience." I said, "तुमने मेरे को देखा है, मेरे लड़के को आके मिलो, तो I have learned this from him." And also a little bit from my father. The both of them have had such a calming effect on us. We are like high-strung people, and we are values.
Short fuses.
Yeah. so, so this whole thing of acceptance, as I said, we have to acknowledge, and we have to acknowledge that it is the autistic people who are accepting the neurotypicals far more than we who our acceptance of them. Uh, they have a much better understanding. They can sense what our feelings are, and then we who are supposed to have a great theory of mind try to fathom why, like A, B, C, it's like what I antecedent behavior and consequence, and we try to learn about why he may have done. But essentially, I think that whole acceptance, like this acceptance of the lockdown. So there are so many things that I keep learning, and will keep learning. I'm just 60 now, about सीखना है.
In fact, even now, through the evening, I mean, you saw him sit behind us when we started, and he tried to come and tell us, then like when we just said to him that, fine, we're going to have this talk, he's found something to do for himself. I mean, we rarely give him that kind of space, the kind of space that he gives us, right? So, I mean, it's really a learning thing. Like Anand said, the never give up spirit and the ability to forgive people their mistakes. The amount that Kabir has forgiven us for our parenting, I mean, I cannot I cannot emphasize that enough. Not once, not twice, n number of times, he has just said, forgiven us, literally, and tried to understand our point of view. I think we owe it more to persons with autism, as Anand was saying, and definitely to Kabir, to try and understand his point of view, because on a daily, day-to-day, every second basis, he's trying to understand our point of view.
And this must be true in every घर की कहानी है ये, जहाँ autism है वो घर की. It's not something special about us and Kabir. That's how it is. It's just we want to put it out there. This is how our children are, so that the awareness and so-called our acceptance, the neurotypical world's acceptance to them increases. That's all. This is just universal most.
Yeah. Thank you for expanding our own learning. It's so significant and important what you say about patience, about seeing your point of view. Sometimes we just miss these things in our thinking we know better, and to know that there's such a wealth over there to gain from. Thank you. And yes? Yeah. And I know you all have had many adventures in your journey with Kabir. So it will be interesting to know what it has led you on to. Being parents of Kabir, understanding what it means, and your knowing your own spirit of going further. So would you like to share something of that?
Yeah, so going back to your first, when we started and when we shared a little about how we met so many persons from different diverse backgrounds and cultures and castes and religions and genders and all of that, and how we were we were and continue to be so close to them, and they're a part of our lives. Because of Kabir, another door opened, and we got to know the diversity of persons with disabilities. I mean, not that we were not aware of them before, but we actually have persons with disabilities now also so closely connected to us, and that diversity has also merged with our life and our lifestyles. And for that, we would be forever grateful, to him. And of course, through that, the setting up of Forum for Autism, the parent support group, and then meeting so many other wonderful families. In fact, just last Sunday, we had, thanks to Darshana's idea, some of us families and parents who founded the forum, who started it at that point, we came together and reminiscent and went back to those days, and really, really we couldn't have asked for more beautiful persons and families to be co-travelers with us in this journey of autism. Not just the ones that spoke that day, but the persons we know all across India. And that is so, so wonderful. And that is again, thanks to Kabir. Then, of course, like you said, as he grew and we wanted to increase our understandings, we came across narrative practices and, trained in that. And then we have Adult Support Kendra. And through Adult Support Kendra, which is meant to support persons, essentially meant to support persons with intellectual disability and autism and their families, we have, at least I certainly have, met so many adults who have intellectual disability, who have autism, and who have the strength to shape their own lives. And that has really given me so much hope for what is possible in the future for Kabir and for persons like him. Also being a part of the revision of the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, and meeting so many persons with disability across India, different kinds of disabilities, and how that act was shaped with so much love, care, and scrutiny, and really, it really, really fills me with hope, a lot of hope. Yeah.
I would say that, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
No. Please go ahead. I was to ask you, do you need to add in?
Okay. Just to continue from what she was saying, even Kabir's creation, setting up of that gave us a lot of hope, and but it's not just about what we do. I think our hope is there. As I said, ये घर घर की कहानी है. People are doing. Persons with autism are now becoming adults. They're talking, and not more than talking, they're doing. Parents are doing. So every time a mother trains herself and sets up an organization, their joy is our joy. We take joy in their joy. Every time, see, like I'll give you, this was a really inspiring example for me, to a friend, a young couple, in a small town. I've not seen it in West Bengal. In the Corona lockdown times, when literally thousands were going home barefoot to their villages, and had nothing to eat, they decided to give relief. And not just they involved their son with autism. They all, as a family, went and gave relief, which continued. There was a flood in Bengal, and they did that. And like this is so joyous. This is what gives me hope. There is a young man with autism in our forum who has recently got a job with a multinational company, and he has given a huge chunk of his first salary to forum. Before that, I remember he had floated. On the
Fundraising.
birthday, Facebook has these uh, fundraisers. Yeah, so he did that for AFA. He's Kabir's creation. He is a like supporter of. This is where the hope is. Another person with autism whom I've never met in who's in Bombay, but last year when we ran through Kabir's creation, 50 stories. One of the stories, this young man with autism was teaching children of underprivileged background uh, uh, so that they do well in their school. Th- these things, I mean, they may not be our endeavor, but for us, it is like that. It is all this is ours. This is where our hope is. This is what nourishes our soul. This is what tells us it's worth going on, and uh, we have we have miles to go.
Yeah. Even setting up Kabir's creations has been such a joy. To have these three other young persons like Kabir who have intellectual disability and autism, and to see them bloom, and also work alongside as architects. I mean, in that same office, there is no instructor there. They are doing their work. They have set up their own systems, of course, with a lot of assistance, and the assistance provided because of the learnings we have got from the various workshops and professionals that we have met over time. But with the supports, they are just functioning in parallel to us, and it's really something. It's indescribable in words to see how that happens and how well it can happen. It's really a wonderful
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
So there are a lot of positive things in the world to control.
You know, Parul and Anand, you've already got a lot of kudos and wow remarks from participants. And I just want to add that when I was doing my narrative practice and uh, course, one of the things that I learned in theory was the importance of sharing your stories in groups. And Anand kept calling it our daily lives are mundane. However, sharing your quote, mundane life, I can see is so impactful to each one of us. And it's not just about autism, it's about what can make each one of us at whatever age we are a better human being. You had emphasized on the kindness aspect of Kabir, and you brought it out so beautifully by your stories, and it personally touches me that I still have some years left to learn that kind of kindness, which we all as human beings have that seed in us, implanted. So thank you so much, Anand. Over to you, Vijay and Anand.
So, Vijay and Nirupa, we were so happy when you accepted that you would be our moderators. You all have yourselves been such tremendous inspiration, inspiring people for us, not just in our journey with autism, but generally in our journey in life. And you know it's our goal to be like you as we grow older. So that is really something. But really, one of the things, because Nirupa, you had also asked what do you hope to happen in the future for Kabir. And and I'm sure Anand in a different way would feel the same thing, that beyond us, after us, we hope that Kabir continues to find courageous and warm-hearted, kind people, like he has found today and like we have found in our journey of life. And I hope that he can, with their help and support, create his path, the path of his life, which is beyond, after our lives, beyond our lives. That is my real, if I have to look at what is my basic hope and dream for him, I would say it is that the joys that we have got out of meeting such wonderful people and the supports we have got, may those also be available to him as he moves ahead.
think the way you contribute to community, I think finally that is our hope. That there's a whole community which just passes on, and as Vijay was saying, as each one kindles some more humanity in others, that humanity then comes back to hopefully our children and moves on. So yes, it's just been really, really lovely to listen to your stories and what it brought forth. Thank you so, so much. Yeah.
So much, both of you, and thank you, of course, to Forum. घर के ही है, लेकिन this was when we began, we were nervous because we had decided that, like each time I decide that I have to do a little more of what should I say, self-disclosure in the interest of the autism, what should I say, community, and it's necessary. So the starting is like all is well, I have to tell myself, but then it is all is well.
And thank you for the really warm comments that have come in. Priyanka, it would be really lovely if you could send them to us.
Yeah,
We would really
Oh,
check.
sure.
I have not read them at all.
Yeah. And I know we have overshot our time, but there are some questions. I don't know if I could go through them. And if anybody
I was
wants.
just thinking if we could touch upon them, because the last part what you all said was parents are always wanting to prepare something for the future. You said was so beautiful, because how much ever you plan and you think, you don't know what holds in the future, right? So if you could take these questions, because uh, there's a lot of learning that has happened. I wasn't going to barge in, but I just can't stop from saying thank you for just unwinding your life, because without saying, you'll have taught us so much. So this has been really great. Uh, so the first question says, I want to know about the future planning that you've done for yourself.
Yeah, actually, we really don't have like a fixed plan, and we are just following Kabir's lead on it. Of course, if so, we're hoping that it would be possible for him to live in a situation with all the supports that he requires. But I mean, we're going to try and see if it's possible for him to live uh, not in a residential setup, but maybe with other persons with disability, being flatmates. I don't know. I really don't know. But that's our attempt. But if all else fails, yes, of course, a residential setup. Because really there is no third alternative. And we don't have he doesn't have a sibling. So, we don't have that fallback.
Okay, there's just a thank you from Ranjana Chakravarti saying that it was a great session. And the last question says, did both of you wanted to know Kabir's future plan, or what Labour wanted to do in future?
What Kabir?
What
Kabir, what Kabir wanted to do in future?
Yeah.
I think Kabir has given us leads on what he wanted to do, and we have changed the things after he has told. For example, he was working full time in a sheltered workshop. After some time, after 8 years of working there, he indicated to us that he would like to go ahead, push the envelope, and he doesn't want to leave it. He likes to be there, but he is very fast worker, so he finishes his work very fast and doesn't want to just sit. So he comes home after half day. I mean, this is pre-corona I'm talking about, and that's when the whole Kabir's creation thing started, and then we took on more people. Now in corona time, it has taken another turn we had not even thought of, and then suddenly on the eve of the ward on 1st April evening, I just
Yes.
got this
We
idea,
got this.
and
We have a month's free
like,
advertising.
so like that, even future, na, actually, even the Kabir's creation happened. You have a vague plan, but actually some thing happens, and then it happens like accidentally something starts like that. So now we just did it, and now we are still trying to like, नहीं नहीं ये इतना quality करके ही फिर then we will take order. So like that about the future also we have some thinking in our place. Of course with Corona कुछ भी करो ना होता, we'll see, but definitely इंसान है तो रूह है तो कुछ तो प्लान होता है, करना होता है तो है, but see there are plans which are based on cynical kind of sometimes this thing, and there are plans which are based on the belief that human beings are basically nice, and we have loved to be in touch with you, a lot of human beings and kind ones, and so will he. So it's not just about the plan, but it's about the the way we look at it. Kabir, you would like to say something?
You want to say hi to everyone at least?
You can say hi.
Or bye. Bye. Okay.
Okay, he's saying bye.
I could sense that. Come on, it's enough of my parent time you have taken.
I know, ये बुड्ढे मेरे को खाली पीली खींच रहे हैं ना अपने Zoom में.
Thank you, both of you all, and those cups are amazing. And yes, I was going to talk about the cups because we have known about Kabir's creation. Torans were the beautiful all over, like many people were putting it on their doors and were using it. But then cups was the best thing that happened before war, and they're so beautiful, really amazing.
I agree, Darshana. We really love them too.
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll make the orders happen.
Yes, and even I remember one of the paintings where somebody noticed a Krishna in it, and that was so beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. So there's so much of thing that I think our boys or our children or our adults don't say things, but they really eventually take us down the way. And you all both are the best examples of teaching us how to learn from our children. That's what even I have always been done. Like like I said, both of you are not saying anything have taught us so much, and this whole episode of 1 hour has been such a lot of learning for all of us. So I take this opportunity of saying thank you, FFA, for forming FFA, for having this, like getting that group of parents together, holding hands, and like that one answer which you said, we have no choice, and that no choice has led this journey and brought us here. So I think that no choice is something which helps us to move ahead in life. Saying that, thank you. Thank you, Anand, and thank you, Parul. Thank you, Nirupa, for doing this. Thank you, Vijay. And we'll leave here for today. Bye-bye. Have a great evening. Bye to Anna. Bye to Kabir.
Bye, Kabir.
Bye, Kabir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.